This Gulf of Mexico update effective around 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 24th, 2013. And guys, if you've been following our forecast, you know we've been really looking hard at the Gulf of Mexico over the last 3 to 4 days. We started off on the western tip of Cuba and off the southwest Florida coast, and we have now transitioned to the tropical wave we talked about the other day, possibly making it into the Gulf of Mexico, and we are in that time frame right now. The next factor that we have to consider is the cold front that is now dropping into the southeast, and you're going to have some deep tropical moisture matched up against some cooler air. And whenever you have that clash. And guys, we've talked about being in this fall pattern now for about the last 4 weeks. And whenever we get these fall type patterns, you guys know that live along the Gulf of Mexico, when you get into fall, you have these coastal lows that develop and could possibly produce heavy rains. This looks like to be transitioning into this. And there is the possibility that we could see something tropical develop. So it's really important to pay attention over the next 24 to 48 hours. But here's a look at the infrared rainbow loop, and we're going to start you off here in the Bay of Campeche. Notice how this flow has developed in here, and we're getting a cyclonic flow. We're getting convection to start building along the coast of Mexico up in here towards southern Texas. We also have a convective outbreak off the tip of Louisiana, working the tropical wave now that is just moving in off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, and you can see the deep tropical moisture pluming into the Gulf of Mexico once again. Okay, we're going to focus in on the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. As you can see, we've got a broad cyclonic flow over in the Bay of Campeche, but now we've got to start looking for a small area of spin near any convection, and then we can start to see a wrap develop. And if you look real closely off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, you can see in this loop now the arching that we're seeing here with a little burst of convection. You have stronger convection bursting off the tip of the Louisiana coast, and so we're starting to see that there may be a new circulation starting to develop that could have convective activity around it right off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, here's a look at the water vapor imagery, and in this loop you can see what we're talking about over here in the Bay of Campeche, how we have this cyclonic flow. Now you can see there's dry air in there. Okay, so, but that doesn't mean that there's going to be dry air there later, but we showed you where we're starting to look for a new rotation right off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, and if we see the moisture start to develop in here or concentrate, we know we may be on to some tropical development. Now, as you know, as we've talked about, whenever you have a broad area of low pressure, there are different regions or different spots where an area of low pressure can try to spin up along that trough. Same thing with a cold front or a front. We always watch the tail ends of fronts during tropical season for something that may try to develop at the end of it or somewhere along the front. As you guys know, we posted on Facebook a couple of days ago, as this front begins to settle, we issued 2 watch boxes, one over the northern Gulf of Mexico, right in here off Louisiana, right where we're having this convective outburst, where we said in the next several days we're going to be watching the same area again, and off the southeast U.S. coast. We're going to zoom back out and give you a look at the bigger picture, but look how this moisture is pluming through the Yucatan Channel and off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula into the central Gulf of Mexico. Guys, this could set up to be a very significant rain event, so be sure to stay tuned for the forecast. Okay, here's what we posted on Facebook yesterday. We were showing you two boxes or two areas that we were going to be watching as the front goes to die out on Monday and Tuesday. Models were hinting at an area of low pressure trying to develop off the southeast of the Outer Banks, and another area of low pressure up in here towards the Panhandle region. Now, with what we've seen already in the last day or so, it could be what the models were picking up on, but we're going to continue to monitor both of these areas, and we'll show you some satellite imagery here in just the next frame to give you the reason why we had thought of this yesterday. So as you can see today, we've got a cluster of convection over the tip of Louisiana, and we've got another cluster along the edge of the front off the southeast U.S. coast. So as this begins to start to pull off this way, off towards the northeast, at the end of this little train right in here, we may see an area of low pressure that might try and develop off the Outer Banks in here at the same time as this continues to move off towards the west, towards Texas. So as this moves towards the west, towards Texas, we could get some concentration of moisture down here in the Bay of Campeche and could see something trying to develop along this tropical wave. Okay, so here it is in motion for you, and as you can see, we're getting this pull along the front off towards the northeast, high pressure digging in behind, winds off the mid-Atlantic, north-northeast, 15 to 20 knots, seas building in here 5 to 6 feet, and this northeast surge, or northerly surge, is going to work its way down in here towards Florida over the next 48 hours. So we do got some increasing surf conditions along the Florida coast, and it looks like it's going to make it down into the Palm Beach area. At the same time, like we said, guys, we're going to be watching for an area of low pressure that may try and develop off the southeast U.S., southeast of the Outer Banks, and at the same time watching the Gulf of Mexico. So stay tuned for the forecast. I know the Panhandle's had some fun surf over the last 3 to 4 days. It looks like that's coming to an end with the increasing northeast winds, but if we can get something to develop down here in the Bay of Campeche, we could see a newly developed southwest swell start to affect the Panhandle beaches. So that's it for now, guys. Stay tuned for the forecast.